Hey, it's Sandra. Welcome to another episode of Asexualized, my asexual life. This is the place to be for education about asexuality, all things asexual. I share my own asexual life journey in order to help you in yours. If you haven't already subscribed, please hit the great big subscribe button right here, right now. Please hit that bell icon to get notified of every time I go live like now, post a new video. And don't forget to give this video a thumbs up as we go along if you're enjoying the content. If you don't know who I am Sandra Bellamy, author of this beautiful book, Asexual Perspectives, Love, Life and Sex, a celebration of asexual diversity. I'm also the founder of asexualist.com and the founder of Asexualized Academy. Welcome to Asexual Perspectives Awareness Month, day 19 we're on now. Just checking on my calendar, it is day 19. And so, what's in store today? Well, if you didn't know, Asexual Perspectives Awareness Month is to celebrate our diversity across the asexual spectrum and our differences within it, which is why I published this book in the first place, so we could all show what we're like on the asexual spectrum and how different we are, and answer all the difficult, common and interesting questions about asexuality that most people could possibly want to know. So that's all in this book. Now, in tonight's episode, I want to talk to you about something really important, which is why it's important to embrace your asexuality and not live in fear of it. So in one of my interviewees' answers, I don't know, where does it go? Right, this is it. Yeah, here we go. So in Thomas's answer, which is on page 324 of the book, if you've got it, you can have a look at what I'm talking about. If you haven't, you can click on the links down below to go and get yourself a copy. So Thomas's story, when I asked if you were to look back at your life, what advice would you have given to a younger version of yourself in regard to asexuality? I would have told myself to embrace it and not fight it. I would tell myself there is nothing wrong with not wanting sexual contact and that society is wrong in its view of sexuality. And tonight I just want to focus on that one specific topic because it's something that is very, very important. So I come across many asexuals in my line of work of helping asexuals, as you know, and I have lots of private messages by asexuals. I'm also on I run 5 asexual groups on Facebook. I'm a member of asexual dating, 2 asexual dating sites, member of ASAP, which is an asexual dating app for asexuals, obviously. And generally I'm in a lot of asexual communities. And so one of the things that I find very difficult and a little bit disturbing for them is when someone doesn't embrace their asexuality. And it happens quite a lot, I'm in a number of asexual groups, and some people, they really, really hate being asexual. They absolutely hate it. And while society's there going, oh, well, you chose to be that way, asexuality is not a choice. It's a sexual orientation that you are or you aren't. Just like heterosexuality is a sexual orientation where you are or aren't. Do you know what I mean? People can't help being asexual. It's who we are. It's our sexual orientation. We didn't choose to be that way. It is what it is. And society, when they, have this constant view of, you chose to be that way, it's very, very damaging, especially to the asexuals that don't actually want to be asexual. I'm just gonna have some water. Because there are a number of asexuals that don't want to be asexual. They want to like sex. They want to enjoy it as much as heterosexuals do, if they do. They want to not have to worry about relationships, because when you're asexual, and a lot of the population is heterosexual, it makes finding a partner for a relationship very, very difficult. Very difficult to get a match if the asexual person doesn't want sexual contact, or they don't want sex. Some asexuals, they'll still like to do some sexual acts or have some physical sexual contact, but without the intercourse. Some of them don't want any sexual contact whatsoever. So it becomes very, very difficult. And this is why quite a number of asexuals I've seen over the years, since I've been on this channel, like 4 years now, since 2015, a number of the people, asexuals I come across, some of them are very distraught. Some of them even have tried to commit suicide, which I think is a tragedy, you know. And thank God, you know, they didn't do it, or it didn't work, or they didn't go through with it, because, you know, they're in the groups and I can see they're alive. But it's horrible, and it's very upsetting for me to see people in that distressed state. And that's why I think society is so insensitive. You know, people are so insensitive. You know, it's like, oh, you chose to be that way. Like, stop being that way. It's not something you can stop. It's something that you fundamentally are. Do you know what I mean? It's a core, essential part of your being, which is what I'm going to come on to at the moment, which is another important part of this video, about being part of your core being. So I just find it very upsetting for other asexuals when I see them in that state. You know, they're like, I don't want to be asexual. I hate it. You know? And they're like, I'll never find a relationship. I'll always be lonely. You know, this is not all asexuals. Some asexuals love being single, love being on their own, don't need or want anyone. They're a self-contained unit, and they don't have that desire to have another person in their life in that way. You know, and not all asexuals feel this way. Some asexuals love it, like I love being asexual, right? Some, you know, so it's not all this way, but I'm just talking and saying how I feel for those people that don't like being asexual. And I have a message to give to you, and that is, you know, you need to embrace your asexuality. And the reason this is so important is because your asexuality, whether at the moment you like it or not, is a part of who you are. It's your sexuality. And if you're constantly fighting against it, hating it, feeling bad because of it, you are essentially feeling that way about a part of yourself. And that is going to make you hate yourself and hate your life. And life is so precious, so short. So I don't want you to feel that way anymore. I want you to embrace who you are, to embrace your sexuality, which is asexuality, and to really love it in your heart. Because the more you love it in your heart and accept it about yourself, the less struggle you'll have in your life, the less depression you'll have, the less suicidal thoughts you'll have. And there's a whole new asexual world waiting for you. You know, I've seen people come to my meetups, and they've gone from being barely able to talk to people, mingle with people, being socially awkward and feeling uncomfortable, to being really confident asexuals, really happy with their asexuality, really happy they're embracing it, really happy they're around other asexuals and they can talk about it, and they feel so good that they're different because they've got other people around them who are also happy about their asexuality. You know, I realize you might be around people that aren't very good for you. You know, please try and limit the time with those people who don't embrace your asexuality, who don't like it. And, you know, try and limit your time with them if you can't get away from them. If you can get away from them, and leave them behind. Otherwise, enjoy being asexual. People think the world is perfect. We live in expectation. Hi, Heather. Lovely to see you. Love you as always. People think the world is perfect. We live in expectation. Yeah. Yes, but yeah, I understand what you mean. But is it the heterosexuals who think that way, or is it the asexuals that think that way? You know, there is no such thing as perfection. You are quite right about that. And, you know, and I think it's, you know, I am hopeful that I will find someone for a suitable relationship for me in the future. If I don't, then I will remain happily single for the rest of my life, because I would rather be single than get into a relationship with someone who's really bad for me. People in general, yeah, they do think the world's perfect, and they do think that, yeah, but I think the asexuals, the ones that are really depressed and upset about being asexual, you know, they feel their life is far from perfect. They feel distraught. They feel like, you know, especially the ones that really desire a relationship. Like, I'm a really romantic girl, right? It's kind of partly in my nature to want to be in a relationship with someone. I mean, it's not as in my nature as it used to be, because I've reprogrammed my mind to be happy being single. And so far, I've always been happier being single. But I kind of always feel like I've got a soulmate somewhere in the world, an asexual foreign guy soulmate who I have thought is Indian, but he's not necessarily going to be Indian, you know. If I meet the right person, I guess I'll know in the end. But it's like in my nature as a romantic asexual, particularly to want to be in a relationship to a certain extent, and therefore it becomes really difficult, and it can be a struggle when you're trying to find someone for a suitable relationship. And some of the people in my asexual dating groups, for example, they feel really frustrated and upset that and in pain with it, that they want to be in a relationship. They want to be in a relationship with a sexual person, for example, a heterosexual, but they know that it's not going to work or last, or there's problems there already. They meet this person, they don't tell them they're asexual for a start, which is a bad thing to do. You need to be honest and upfront about who you are. But if you don't like your asexuality, if you hate it, don't want to be it, then it's not something you really want to mention. Whereas someone like me who embraces my asexuality, who loves it, it's the first thing I want to tell them. It's like, I'm asexual, accept it, cards on the table, you accept or you don't. But I can't be with a sexual person long term because I don't like sex. I can't be doing that again in my life. I don't think a sexual can be faithful. Not very many of them. I know there's like the odd one or two. I actually know of a guy who is married to an asexual, but they didn't know they were asexual. Their wife was before they got married, and he is 100% faithful. I know he is. He doesn't have sex with other women, and that's hard for him. Not having any sex from his wife, not having sex ever again in his life. So I do see the other side of it when I've got a friend who's in that position, who's sexual, and they didn't know their partner was asexual when they got married, and they've accepted that. They're not cheating, which is great, but they feel a sadness all the time throughout their life that they're never going to have sex again, because they do enjoy that part of a relationship. And so, I do see the other side. I'm not completely oblivious to it. However, if the asexual person was happier with their asexuality, happier in themselves, they would have. I mean, this person his wife doesn't even know she's asexual. I don't think. She just says about not wanting sex again, and she's not interested. She's got all signs that she's basically, I mean, she is asexual because he's told me what it's like, but I can't go into details. But anyway, so she's not actually using the term asexual, but he came to talk to me about it because he realized she was through, having me as a friend. So, but asexuals who are, like in the wife's position, like I just mentioned, she doesn't even know she's asexual, and she doesn't know of the asexuality as such. I think he's mentioned it to her, but obviously, he didn't want to upset her by telling her something she doesn't know, and also, like kind of saying, well, the reason you don't want sex with me is because you're asexual. Do you see what I mean? It can be a little bit awkward. I better not go into any more details because it's personal between them, So, but I know their circumstances. So, yeah. So, it's just when asexuals know they're asexual and they don't tell the other person, that's when it becomes even harder. But I see how hard it is. I see asexuals, they just want to be loved without sex. They really are like, why can a sexual person not love me without sex? And I really, Heather, yeah, it is a really difficult world. It's a very difficult world. But what makes it more difficult is if an asexual doesn't embrace asexuality, which is what I wanted to bring up in this video, because, there's enough heartache and pain in the world without causing more for yourself. By hating being asexual, you're hating a part of who you are. And that is soul destroying for you as a person. At the moment, I'm just thinking more abundant mindset. I'm thinking, yes, Sandra, there's thousands of asexuals out there. There's loads of asexual guys, which means you can get an asexual guy. There's tons potentially out there for you. I'm not saying they're going to be the right ones, but there's potentially loads. There's a pool of them. I mean, recently I've been had more asexual guys interested in me, but I've upped my age that I'm interested in. Because I'm only interested usually in guys in their early to mid 20s, or their 20s full stop. So I've upped the age to early 30s, which is very difficult for me in the sense that a lot of the guys that are early 30s, I'm just not attracted to them because they're too old looking for me. but I have upped it to see what type of people I can get, quality people, guys, obviously, I can get, because, you know, I need a quality guy for me. And then most of the guys that I come across are in early to mid 20s. I think that their attitudes are really good in lots of ways, and I get on well with them. I relate to them really well, but they don't know what they want. They haven't got the finances to even meet me. They don't even know who they are. They haven't even decided a lot of their major life decisions yet. And so trying to have a serious committed relationship with someone who's at, you know, they're at the same life stage as me, and the sense that they're studying, they're improving themselves, they're progressing with their life. You know, I love the fact they're doing education, a lot of them, because you know, I like learning and growing myself. And an older guy tends to be stagnant. Like, it's like, I've done my studies now, I'm at home watching TV every time after work, and yeah, it's like, where's the growth? What are you doing to improve your mind and to improve yourself? And I like a guy who's constantly trying to improve himself, like I am constantly trying to improve myself, self-development, professional development, personal development. And he's always trying to constantly better themselves, you know, because if you get into a relationship with someone like that, they're much more healthier for you, because they want to grow in the relationship. They'll want to grow the relationship and grow in the relationship with you. And they will fight for it more, and they will be stronger and sustainable within it. Because getting a relationship is easy, it's maintaining it that's hard work. Hi Cameron, nice to see you. So yeah, that's why it becomes very difficult. So it's really important that asexuals embrace their asexuality and who they are, because it will cause them even more problems down the line with themselves. Because if they don't embrace who they are and they hate a part of them, they're hating themselves. Do you see what I mean? And that is not nice for them, you know. Like I said, I have a more of abundance mindset lately. Instead of thinking, oh, it's really difficult to get an asexual relationship, I'm trying to think the opposite. Trying to think, oh right, there's loads of asexual guys out there. There's more and more guys finding out they're asexual every day. There's more and more guys coming on into asexual dating sites. And like I said, I've upped the age that I'm interested in now, so I'm getting some more guys come through who are interested in me. I'm not really interested in that many of them. There's one person that I'm talking to who's really nice, because he doesn't look his age. He looks a lot younger. And I've got a Skype date with him on Tuesday, which I'm really looking forward to, actually. But you know, I need a guy that knows what he wants in his life, and a guy in their early to mid 20s don't even know what they want, a lot of them. So that, from that point of view, it's no good for me. But I like the other points of view. They're very similar to me in their mindset and their likes, their dislikes, of what they like to do in hobbies and interests, you know. So I think I think rather than sitting there thinking this is no good for us, this life, or something's wrong with our life, we need to kind of expand our mind and expand our circle in our life more. Do you know what I mean? Because when we don't like a part of ourselves, we tend to shrivel up inside, a part of our soul tends to die more, and it can feel really bad, you know. And I have a asexual friend, and he watches this channel a lot. He's one of my best friends, and I know there was a time when he didn't embrace his asexuality. I'm not going to go into details because it's not fair on him, but you know, and I he started messaging me, and then we met on an asexual dating site. Actually, he started messaging me, and then he stopped for quite a few months, and then he came back when he was ready to embrace his asexuality. You know, that's all I'm saying about it. And then he came back stronger, but you know, all those months he didn't embrace it. And you know, you've got to embrace who you are as a person, because otherwise you're wasting your life away. You know, if you can't embrace who you are, no one else is going to do it. There's no person who in a relationship is going to embrace you for who you are if you don't. Like, I don't want to be in a relationship with a heterosexual, for example, but I love myself enough to know that if I am in a relationship with a heterosexual, I'm proudly asexual. I don't want sex, and they have to accept that. If they don't want to accept it, don't be in a relationship with me, you know? And I'm very open and honest about that, you know? And I'm confident that I'm a good person and gorgeous in and of my own right, and I'm worthy of love without sex, you know? I'm not sure a lot of sexual people are capable of living that life because they feel they'd have to give up their sexual satisfaction for their sexual appetite, you see. And you know, I respect the fact that a lot of sexuals, they do really enjoy and like sex, you know. But if we as asexual person don't appreciate our asexuality, don't embrace it and think, you know, the universe, the planet, God, if you believe in any of that, you know, gave us what we are. And to hate a part of ourselves is literally that, is hating part of us. And that becomes a very destructive life, becomes a very upsetting life, becomes a very distraught life. And I don't like to see anyone like that, you know. I think it's a shame there's a lot of media stuff going on in the world at the moment where there's a lot of, seems to be more media coverage of LGBT people, for example, gay people, having a lot of physical abuse. Now, I don't know if it's just the media that, again, is plumping all that up and making a big deal of it to make it seem like it's really horrendous more at the moment. But, you know, I mean, one of my, well, my best asexual friend, he, well, I should call them they, them, really, but because they told me recently they prefer those pronouns. So they, them are homoromantic, and they prefer, you know, guys. And they, you know, they post stuff about what's happening in the world from other media sources, you know, and when people are beating up and stuff. How do you feel about message it as it? Do you think, how do you feel about massage as it? Do you think that some people over sexualize a massage? Oh, Cameron, that's a very good question. So a lot of sexuals, they do, I'm going to be very blunt now, right? A lot of sexual guys, they do get hard over a massage, right? From the people that I've talked to in my life. One of my, well, my female best friend, she used to be a massager. She used to do that for a job. And some of the guys, I used to say to her, because my friend, female friend, is not asexual, definitely not asexual. So we do have sexual conversations. Even though I'm asexual, I can hack a lot of talk about sexual stuff, especially because I help asexuals, and I get a lot of sexuals still come in contact with me, and some that want my help in private messages and stuff, you know. So I end up, and obviously my book I'm doing at the moment is Asexual Sex Stories, so it's going into quite a lot of detail about past experiences of asexuals who have had sex to help other asexuals to understand why they might like sex or they might not, and to make an informed decision if they want it or not, for those asexuals that are thinking about it, or for the asexuals that are pushed into it by peer pressure from their family and culture and society expectations, which is shameful, but it happens, you know. So a lot of religions or cultures that you get married, you have kids, whether you're asexual or not, you have to have sex, you know. And that's like, I'm getting private messages from people in that situation, you know. So it's no good me ignoring it, and the whole of asexual community saying, oh, no one likes sex that's asexual, no one should be having sex that's asexual. They're not really asexual. There are asexuals that are being pushed into having sex by their own families, you know. And that they're, you know, like I'm talking about stuff like Indian culture, where they seem to be, you know, bring shame upon their family if they don't have sex, you know. I'm having to do in private message with sometimes distraught asexuals not knowing what the heck to do. And obviously I want to tell them, don't do it, you know. Like, I know it's your culture, I know it, you know what it's like, but you're talking about the rest of your life, you're going to have to do that. And it can be like torture if an asexual is sex repulsed and don't like that type of thing. It can be, you know. And my real true advice is to run the heck the other way. But it's not as simple as that. If they live with their parents, which a lot of them do, they're expected to do it. And if not, there's some of them are shamed by their family, and some of them are disowned, you know. Oh, an amazing update about Sunday night. After joining the stream, I found it inspired to tell my mum I was asexual. Oh, love you. She was confused at first, but seemed happy for me. Oh, Cameron, that's wonderful. Oh, thank you so much. Oh, that's made my evening now, because that's really good. I'm really proud of you. I'm so proud of you. I can't see, I'm only welling up with tears. I'm proud of you because I know what a big step that is. And to say you did that after joining my stream the other night, I feel really honoured I've played a big part in your life in that way, because I feel I've played a really big part, you know. I know how huge a deal that is. I mean, there's a guy on here who moderates for me when he can. He is a moderator, because he's a moderator on Avon asexuality.org nowadays, so he spends a lot of time there. And you know, he came out as asexual since he watched my live streams, and after joining Avon, he did come out, and he used to say when he started watching me that I'd never come out as asexual. My parents wouldn't understand, and they pretty much accepted it straight away, and I think they thought he was already, and so I'm really, really, really happy. It was difficult, but I thought this channel is a safety net of sorts, if that makes sense. Oh, I love you. Yes, Cameron, that's what I want it to be. I want people to use this channel, use me if you want to, in a good way, not a horrible way, to say, look, this girl's asexual, listen to her. Although some parents might not like some of my content, because I talk about like sexual arousal sometimes, and the difference between sexual arousal and sexual attraction depends on the age of the person watching. They might be like, why are you telling my daughter and son about sexual arousal and sexual attraction? You shouldn't be mentioning stuff like that. I can sort of hear the parents saying stuff. My own dad watches this channel in secret mode, stalks me on here. I'm like, whatever, Dad. I still be me. So he knows a lot about my personal sexual past life, and I just don't care, because at the end of the day, I'm here for you guys, I'm here for you, Cameron, and everyone else. My job here is very important to me. I want to help people to change their lives for the better forever. I want people to asexualize their asexual life, so to asexualize something, it means to make it more asexual. Obviously you are asexual, it just means you're expanding on your asexual happiness, your asexual awareness, you're loving being asexual, you're enjoying it, you're coming out about it, so that is a really beautiful, beautiful thing. I'm so proud of you. I just want to jump up and joy in my seat, you know what I mean, jump up for joy. And it's really nice. Yeah, I hope you do think of it as a safety net, because a lot of the time, if I get anyone on here that's not being respectful as well, Heather, it's awesome. I just usually get rid of them quite quickly. I will verbally say stuff to them in this channel, like, if you want sex, go to another channel. This is not about sex. If you're going to be like that, go. It's not for you. Or I will, get rid of them, like block them or whatever I need to do. And I want you to use this channel to say, like, if you have any problems with family or friends that don't accept you, just say, look, this girl's asexual. I mean, I've got videos going back to October 2015. I've got a whole asexual journey that I've charted on in the public eye, so people can see that this is a living, breathing, real asexual person. And I think it's really important. And I'm so proud of you. I know how hard that is. I've got people on this channel that some of them still aren't out. And so I'm really glad I've inspired you to do that, and seemed happy for you. That's even better. That's the result we want, and I'm so glad, because that's why I'm doing this video tonight, saying it's really important to embrace your asexuality and not fight against it, because if you're fighting against it, you're fighting against yourself, and you're going to have to be with yourself for the rest of your life. And if you manage, if you imagine yourself beating yourself up every day, I mean, there'd be nothing left of you. You'd be like just surviving and hanging there, not thriving and alive. And I want every asexual that watches this channel to feel thriving and alive and happy that they're asexual. And there's a whole world waiting for you now you've come out as asexual to your mum, because obviously you'll probably feel more and more confident after a while to tell other people, other relatives, other family, other friends, and you'll start making more and more asexual friends. You'll notice you're going more asexual forums, you'll start talking more online to asexuals. If you've got asexual meetups near you or within traveling distance, you'll start going to them most likely at some point, you'll just come into contact with a lot more asexuals, and that will cement your confidence more, and you'll go from strength to strength now. It's really good. I'm so proud. I'm so happy. I'm like a happy, I don't know, I was going to say a happy mum, but I'm not a mum because I don't want kids, but you know what I mean. I'm like a happy asexual person. I felt like a weight was lifted from my shoulders. I bet you did. Cameron. That's really good. How long have you known you're asexual? Has it been quite a while that you've known you're asexual? I just wondered if you wanted to share that information, Cameron, like how long you've known you're asexual. 5 years. Oh my gosh. That's a long time to keep that quiet. Yeah, I pretty much came out as asexual as soon as I found out about after 3 weeks of research. I'm like, oh yeah. Yep. My parents were really good about it. After the second conversation, they're like, oh yeah, it sounds like you. Some other people weren't so good, but they were. Most people have been good, actually. They haven't got a choice. See, I don't give people a choice to not be happy with it. That's the thing. It's non-negotiable. And that's what I would say going forward, Cameron, is make sure you're as confident as possible from now on in your asexuality going forward, and that you have this mindset that is non-negotiable. Be like a bulldozer, like this is you're asexual now, you're charging for life, and you're really like charging, you're supercharged, you're like a supercharged, super powerful, like superhero asexual person now who embraces their asexuality, and it's like, I'm confident and I'm strong and I'm here, it's who I really am now, I've arrived, I'm here. And the more you're confident, the more you know in your mind and act and speak like it's non-negotiable, the more you'll find people will like accept it or back down. It was kind of a case of being completely sure of it, so I didn't misuse the label. Yeah, Cameron. It takes a while, doesn't it? I mean, thanks for the thumbs up. I really appreciate that. Yeah. It takes a while. I mean, mine was quite quick. And I've always been asexual and didn't realise it. I think that's why it was so quick. I'm like, oh my gosh, And I haven't had sex since 2011. And I found out I was asexual in 2014. So that's like, it's taken me a while to find out I'm asexual, but not consciously, if you know what I mean. As soon as I heard the term asexual and I looked into it for myself, then, within 3 weeks of research, I'm like, oh yeah, that's me. But I was still unsure about what type of asexual I was. Because when I went on asexuality.org, with asexuality.com, sorry, not .org, which is a dating website for asexuals, I couldn't make out. I knew it was a heteromantic, only attracted to guys romantic, but I didn't know anything else. And I noticed that when I was talking and saying some stuff that I didn't quite fit in. And this guy said, who holds meetups in London, or did at that time, said I was a grey asexual because the way I love to kiss, it's very passionate, is actually sexual in behaviour. But I don't experience any sexual attraction. So when I looked into grey asexual, at first, because I was just discovering this was all in 3 weeks, I thought I was grey asexual because I experienced the sexual attraction, I thought, under limited, rare or specific circumstances, which were basically not that part, but the other part of being grey asexual, whereas you experience sexual attraction but not enough to want to act on it. I thought I was that second half, experience sexual attraction but not enough to want to act on it. But I found out quite quickly I wasn't. I was experiencing arousal, which is two completely different things. I realised, looking back, that I'd never ever thought of my ex, my exes that I had sex with. I never looked at them and thought, not all together. I never two-time. I always have separate relationships. Well, something got a little bit complicated when I was a teenager, but we won't go into that. Yeah, I mean, I have a no two timing rule. You know what I mean? I don't want to be with multiple people. It's not my thing. But back then, I felt that growing up, I could easier separate sexual arousal from sexual attraction. Oh, Cameron, you're so lucky in that way. See, I didn't even know I experienced high levels of arousal till I found out I was asexual. It's really opened my eyes to myself and my body and who I am. It's like been a huge journey of self-discovery. I had no idea, because only reason I worked out I wasn't grey asexual in the usual sense was because I never looked at my exes and thought, ever, I want sex with you. You know what I mean? With my ex, 8.5 years, it was consensual. Well, no, it wasn't consensual. There was one boyfriend who pounced on me, but it is what it is. But my last ex of 8.5 years, last long-term ex of 8.5 years, who was a sexual guy, I did more sex with him than any previous people, and he was good at sex, and so the experience wasn't all bad, if you know what I mean. But that was because of all the foreplay stuff, not the actual intercourse stuff. Really, I wasn't bothered about the intercourse. I just liked the finger, to be honest, and the kissing. I'll be blatantly blunt. I am usually on this channel anyway, and so I never even realised I get sexually aroused. Like, I never thought of it consciously. I was living my life in terms of my sexuality very unconsciously. Like, I didn't know about I knew how I responded in my body to the person I was with, but I thought like physical arousal without the emotional, like a body fiction without control on my part, like physical arousal without the emotional, like a body fiction without control on my part. So you get physically aroused, but you have like no emotional connection to it. Is that right? Like your body's a fiction without control. Oh, like your body's doing its own thing. Is that what you mean? So for you, is this right, Cameron? The physical arousal, you don't have like an emotional attachment to or emotional investment in. It's just like you're doing it without control. It's just a natural thing that happens, like a boner without control. Yeah, it's good to be blunt. I presume you identify as a guy then, do you? I'm assuming from your name, but I can't assume anything in the asexual community because there's a lot of non-binary people and trans people. So I didn't, that's why it's more difficult for me to talk to you in terms of like, yeah, well, you've said it now, you've got a bonus. So obviously you physically male anyway. So I'm a cis woman, cis girl, cis meaning I was born female and I'm still female now. So yeah. Yeah, I mean, you see, me personally, I don't mind if I'm with a sexual guy, a heterosexual, and he has an erection. That doesn't bother me whatsoever. As long as he doesn't put it in me, that's fine. If he's clothed and he happens to have an erection, it doesn't bother me at all. Like, I could be with an asexual guy who did have erections and that wouldn't bother me, but I don't need them to have. Like someone said to me once, well, oh, like, I don't get erections, Shishi. And I'm like, well, that's fine. I don't want sex with you. You know what I mean? I'm asexual. It's like, you know what I mean? It's like, why would I want that? But do you know what I mean? But I don't mind, like some asexuals, they probably couldn't hack that, but it's a natural thing. And I'm not a grey asexual, as in I don't experience any sexual attraction, but I do have the grey A label on top of my heteromantic, hyperromantic label because I've got grey areas of kissing. So when I kiss, it's deeply passionate. I mean, deeply passionate, and I enjoy that. And my body gets very, very physically, sexually aroused, like really quickly, but even without doing anything as well. Like I can be doing nothing. I can be having no person with me, not kissing anyone, and then I can just start feeling aroused in my body. And I think as a female as well, I think that can be a little bit harder in the terms of like society, like really has got a thing where, like society is still not so au fait with women who are sexual, for example, having sex and enjoying sex. There's still this kind of stigma that, like, oh, men love sex more than women. I know women who have a high sexual appetite. I mean, they want it so badly that the people I know will do anything to get it, including having sex with people who are already in relationships, which really breaks my heart in that way because I don't personally agree with that. But that it's just like, it's like I can't help getting aroused, but I can get aroused on my own. There's no physical touching involved. There's no physical, without me touching myself, just by thinking, like, for example, of kissing. That's all I have to do is think about the act of kissing, and like I'm like, whoa, and then I get the physical arousal, and I never knew that. I'm so glad you worked that out because I didn't. I just thought they were exactly the same. And obviously when I was with my ex, because I get highly aroused just like that, all that arousal I was constantly feeling when I was kissing him and getting intimate with him, I didn't know it wasn't sexual attraction. I didn't even think about the fact I never thought I never thought I don't want it. But I did have thoughts about I did have thoughts I don't want it, but I wasn't conscious. Do you know what I mean? I wasn't thinking, oh, why don't you want it because you're not experiencing sexual attraction? I was just thinking I thought I was a heterosexual that didn't really like sex. That's what I thought because I didn't know about asexuality. I had never even heard of the term before, and so it was like really weird. Like when I first knew that I had arousal when I went on asexuality.org in the very early days of finding out I was asexual in 2014. I went on asexuality.org, which is the biggest online community for asexuals, as you probably know. And And it was reading in the asexual forums about sex, because asexuals seem to talk a heck of a lot about sex, more than sexuals quite a lot as well. I know it's because we're very open, frank, honest, and we tell it in a very matter-of-fact way. We can have adult conversations about it. We can talk about it in depth, and we're not like, squeamish about it or embarrassed by it. I don't think. Well, in my experience, when I talk to other asexuals, I think we're much more open, honest, because I've been in heterosexual relationships pretty much for half my life. I feel arousal in most of the time. I feel arousal is most of the time uncontrollable. Like the body function as a sexual attraction sometimes. All right, I think I get what you mean, because if with my arousal, do you feel like then in your body your arousal has a mind of its own? I think that's what you're trying to say, isn't it? Because that's what I think. I think sometimes my body has a mind of its own. Like my mind is, I don't want sex. I'm not interested in it. I don't want to take part in it, and I physically can't do it because my whole body is against it, as in I don't want it because my mind doesn't want it. But it's like my body, my bottom half pounds. Like if I'm kissing a guy that I'm really aesthetically attracted to, really romantically attracted to, well, kissing him a lot, and he's really highly aesthetically attracted to, my bits down there are pounding like it wants to do something, even though I don't. I think that's what you mean. Yeah, that's what I mean. My emotions are separate from the body. Yeah, I mean, I call it my mind, because my emotions are with my body, but it's like my body's separate to my mind, and I know what you mean about emotions being separate from your body as well, because I do have the emotion that I don't want to do it, and I'm just never doing it again, but I think that's coming from my mind as well. But yeah, that's what happens with me. I mean, it's really difficult because I do find it hard to find a suitable asexual for a relationship, because when I kiss, it's very sexual in behavior. I don't know if you like kissing a lot. And, when I kiss, I make noises like I'm having sex. And it's like, oh my God. And if I'm kissing a sexual guy, I make more noises with my clothes on. I don't kiss a guy without my clothes off anymore these days. Since finding out I'm asexual, I don't like being unclothed. So when I've dated heterosexuals, for example, and been kissing them with my clothes on, when I'm kissing them passionately, I sound like I'm having sex. I make all the breathing noises. Obviously, I have had sex in the past, so I know what that sounds like. I know what breathing noises you make. I know what it's like. So my behavior is very sexual, but I have no sexual attraction whatsoever. Like, I have zero. I don't look at a guy and ever think I want sex with him. I don't have that feeling. But like you say, my body can pound. Like, it's like my body has literally got a mind of its own. And it's like boom, boom, boom. And it's like, what the heck are you doing down there? And that's how I found out I had a sexual arousal separate to sexual attraction. And I don't have the sexual attraction because they were talking about sex in asexual forums in asexuality.org. And my bits started doing stuff. And I'm like, what the hell are they doing? I've never understood why people enjoy seeing others naked. Do you not like nakedness either? Oh my gosh, that's really good. Very difficult to find someone like the same as me. I've got one asexual. What do you think? I've never understood why people enjoy seeing others naked. Well, I personally think that people's private body parts should be kept private. That's why they're called private body parts. And I don't understand. Like, I can understand. The only time I can understand it is if they're in a relationship, if they want to do that, even though I don't. But I personally don't agree with looking at other people naked when you're in a relationship with someone. I kind of feel that's betrayal. But obviously, very difficult to get an asexual guy that agrees with that, because it's like, do you know what I mean? It's like the whole world, and most asexuals still look at naked pictures. Some asexuals still look at porn, but I don't understand why they enjoy seeing other people naked. I mean, I theoretically do know why they do. I mean, I know sexuals, they get sexually aroused over it, but I can get aroused without I don't need that type of imagery to get aroused. My body like can get aroused just talking about kissing. It can do. It's got a mind of its own. It's like, doesn't need any stimulation in that respect. And I think that's why they do it, some of them. But I just think it's gross. I'm like, why do you want to look at that? I hate looking at naked women. Like, if there's film, I don't watch films usually with nakedness in them if I can help it. I don't watch TV anymore. If I'm on it, my parents, if I'm over my parents, they got it on, but they don't tend to watch nude programs. But some of it's still sexually explicit with like soaps where they have like low cut tops and their boobs practically hanging out. I'm thinking, well, you're nearly naked anyway, and it's horrible. I hate that. So I don't watch TV usually, but I will go to the cinema to see movies, and usually try and find movies that have got no sex in them, which you probably see in this channel. It's no sex movie reviews I do. So yeah, I get what you're saying. I've never understood why people enjoy seeing each other naked. Really, I prefer a guy with his clothes on. I think he's so much more handsome with clothes on. I don't like looking at the male anatomy naked. It doesn't do anything for me. It looks like a sack of dried potatoes shriveled up, to be honest. I don't know what men think of female anatomy, but it doesn't, I don't need to be naked, but you know what I mean? It's like, I don't mind seeing a guy's top half naked. I've got used to that now. So like, I like kissing a guy's chest and stuff. I understand most people reasoning for sexual things I can understand the written definition of it, but I can't relate to any of it myself. Yeah. I mean, I don't mind being with a guy and his chest be naked nowadays, because I actually like, I enjoy kissing and sucking and licking his chest. And I wouldn't really like to kiss, lick and suck his clothes on his chest. It'd be a bit weird for me. It'd be like I'll be eating fibers of clothes. So yeah, at first, when I first discovered I was asexual, and probably for like a year after, I think it was until 2000, partway through 2015, I thought I didn't want to see a guy's chest naked, but I don't want him showing that off to the world. Like, most guys, they're like, in the summer, they take their tops off and they show their nipples and body parts to everyone. I'm thinking that should be private, just the person you're in a relationship with, not shown off. I mean, obviously, if they're at a swimming pool, I can understand it, but in general, if they're at the beach, it's like, well, put a vest top on or something. Do you know what I mean? I would hate going to a nudist beach. I'd never go to a nudist beach. I really feel sick, stuff like that. Personally, I feel sick if I see a naked woman. I don't like nakedness in sculptures, in paintings, films, TV. I hate it all. I hate all of it. It makes me feel sick, especially seeing a woman naked more than a man, because I'm not attracted to women. It makes me want to be sick. It's like, ugh. I'm like, why do they do that? And I really believe that private parts should stay private. That's why they're called private parts. And I found it odd when people say sex sells. Unfortunately, it does though, I mean, I don't know if you noticed, there was a video on the 30th of June on this channel, and in the media and art, yeah, I know, it's ridiculous. It does sell though, unfortunately. Like, there's a video on the 30th of June I did, and I put a screenshot. I took when you do the thumbnail, I took a picture, and it's of my asexual t-shirts. I aced it, and I designed those t-shirts and sell them on Redbubble and Amazon. So it was actually a t-shirt, and I took a picture. Obviously my boobs are in the t-shirt, covered up, there's no flesh showing, no skin, and it's got like 1,149 views, just because I've got like a t-shirt and my boobs in the t-shirt. I'm like, I'm not naked. There's no flesh involved. You can't see any skin, and you still like my boobs. Do you know what I mean? It's like, oh my God, I can believe I got 1,000 views on that just in 1 week. I'm thinking I'm obviously in the wrong job. But it's like, I'm like, I couldn't do nothing but laugh. I mean, on that video, this guy's left a really horrible in terms of, because I'm asexual, but I suppose a compliment in terms of the sexual world about how hot I look or something. You know what I mean? But it's like, and there was this guy the other day. I was literally walking from the vets, because my guinea pig's Angel's diabetic, and I was picking up some insulin for her. And I was walking down the road, and I had this t-shirt on that's quite tight t-shirt. Again, you can't see any flesh though. You can't see any skin. And I was walking into the city centre, and this guy that's on his bicycle goes, "Whoa!" and immediately was looking at my chest when he said that. I mean, I thought he was going to have an accident on the road. I could do nothing but laugh, to be honest, because he was in front going like that. There was a van behind him. Then all of a sudden his face went, "Whoa!" like that immediately. And he looked at my boobs and in my t-shirt. And I'm like, Oh my gosh, are they really that appealing to people? It just makes me laugh. I used to really freak out, and now I just find it amusing. I think, like, it's like people are so controlled by that, it's like mesmerized by it. It's like, but it's not like I'm like there's quite a lot of women that have, like, show all their boobs and barely got a piece of material around their nipples, right? And I was fully clothed and they're doing that, and I'm like, oh my god, maybe I should be selling pictures of my boobs in t-shirts for like £500 or something if they love them that much. I just can't do nothing but laugh. I'm like, really? You really, like, that's one of the most viewed videos I've ever had on this channel, and it's quite sad that it's to do with something that people have sexualized. Do you know what I mean? And and it's like, it's my top. But I know that when I got that t-shirt years ago, I unboxed it. I did an unboxing video, and I came out of the shower in an Eall towel, right? I was covered, you could see the top. In this particular video, you could see like my shoulder blades, and from like here downwards, I had this Eall towel on. And so I was showing some flesh in that one, my shoulders, and I had my hair taken up. I literally came out of the shower like a turban, and then I was very good at the way I put this t-shirt on, so they didn't see any of my body. I don't know how I did it, actually, looking back, but I did it. And this has been, because you can embed videos, you can embed any YouTube videos, on a website, and there's a sex site that's embedded my video. I was like, oh god, I just can't do nothing but laugh nowadays. So I'm like, really? A sex site? I've got an Eall towel on me. How can people still interested in me in a sexual way with an Eall towel that's not sexy lingerie? Like, I don't wear sexy lingerie with like other women do, for your information. Not that you really want to know, but I've never been the type of girl that's gone out to buy sexy lingerie. I can't even wear the stuff. Do you feel that TV shows have normalized nudity and cheating and sex? Like, relationships are only worth the sex? Yes, I do, Cameron. I really do. And I think society's got worse. If there was an asexual documentary I took part in, and the person who did the documentary, they got this professional person to talk. I can't remember if it was a counselor or psychiatrist or psychologist, or a person who deals with sexual behavior, human sexual behavior. And they said the porn, I don't watch porn, I never have done, and I think it's disgusting, it makes me want to throw up. The concept of it, even, and there's a person on there that's professional, and they said the porn's getting worse. They're having to be more sexually explicit than ever, and by being that way, they're just creating this thing in society where it's like any woman can be a sex object, and like, I'm sure this happens with guys as well, but any woman can be a sex object, and you can do more and more sexual stuff with them just because you want to, just for the hell of it, not because it's consensual, not because it for the advancement of that relationship, but just for the pure gratification of it. And I do agree with you. I think they do try and like normalize nudity. I mean, I'm lucky in the fact that I do see a lot of movies that haven't got sex or nudity in them, and I pick superhero movies, my favorite kids movies, but even some of the kids storylines, we were having this conversation on here the other day, that some of the kids movies, even, they are, they do have some sexual connotations in some of them. It's like, I want to get away from that. I don't want to be going watching a kids movie where they got sexual connotation. I mean, some of the kids movies I've seen as well, not just like sex connotations, but they got really adult storylines. Like, I went to see Wonder Part the other day, and that had like the mother was like seriously critical ill and could have died in it because she went away for treatment. It was like really weird. Do you agree on the legal age of sex? I personally think that it should be 18. What do you think? I'm just going to grab myself some water. I agree with you. I think it should be 18. I live in the UK. Do you live in the UK, Cameron, or do you live abroad in another country? Because I live in the UK, where the legal age is 16. And I don't know if you know I don't know if you've got my Asexual Perspectives book. My asexual sex story is the one I'm working on with asexuals at the moment. But my asexual, this book here, I don't know if you got it, but I tell my own personal story in it. Oh, you live in Birmingham? Oh, wow! And you're someone who's nudity repulsed like me. Oh, that's quite good. I was going to say, are you foreign and are you single? I'm sorry, but yeah. So yeah, it's it's really interesting, you know. I'm getting it soon, your book, I mean. Oh, that's really good. Yeah, I do need a guy, really. I do. It's nudity repulse like me. I don't really want to be in a relationship with a guy who's like looking at nudity stuff. I couldn't be doing with a guy like that. And sadly, a lot of asexual guys are like that. I've got one friend who is male in physical form. They prefer the pronouns of they, them, and they are my best friend, you know, asexual friend. And I trust them implicitly because they have the same boundaries as me, and they are nudity repulsed. And that is the first person I've met in person that's nudity repulsed, a genuine asexual that's genuine nudity repulsed. You're the second person I know of. I've known of some people online that said they have, but one of these guys, he was there chatting up other women besides me. This was a very long time ago. I thought, I don't even think you're really asexual. The way you're saying stuff to me, the way, you know, I blocked him in the end, and then he started on my friend and saying this stuff. I thought, I just think you're telling me bullshit because you know that I'm nudity repulsed. You know what I mean? So, yeah. But I need to, you know, if I get into a relationship, I need to be someone who's nudity repulsed. I'm shocked when I heard of 14 and 15-year-olds having children. I'm only 19. I still can't comprehend it. I didn't know you're 19. I do like younger guys, but yeah. I usually go for guys 21 to 25, but I've gone up. Like my age range has gone up to like early 30s, because, you know, a lot of younger guys, they don't know what they want. They're not in a financial position to have a relationship. They don't know whether they want marriage, kids, or what type of relationship they want, and all that sort of thing. Yeah, so I didn't know you were 19. So yeah. So I have had some 18-year-olds attracted to me. I got asked out on a date by an 18-year-old years ago when I went to a nightclub, but he was not asexual, and he wanted me to go back to his place, which was his dormitory in university, because I ended up dancing with freshers people, because I went with my friend who's not asexual, and we went to this place that has like 3 dance floors, 3 nightclubs, and upstairs was the one where they had freshers week, so all the people that just starting university were going there. And I was dancing on my own nearly all night. At the very end, the last 10 minutes, this guy started dancing with me who was British, because usually I'm more attracted to foreign guys, and he was British. He started dancing with me, and actually I felt quite nice. But I worked out that if it's freshers week, he must be like 19. Like, I feel children, like having kids, shouldn't be promoted and celebrated on TV. Well, I don't want children. I've known I don't want children since I'm 15 years old, and that's like never going to change. Do you know what I mean? And I do agree that the age should be not 18, because if you get when you get my book, you'll find out that this guy tried to take advantage of me. In other words, have sex with me when I didn't want it, and didn't even know. I didn't even see it coming. When I was 15, and he was 18 at the time, and I was 15 years old, and he tried to have sex with me against my will. You know, I didn't even know he was going to do that. He just tried to start doing that and taking my clothes. You know, he tried to start doing stuff with my clothes. And so I had no idea, and I physically stopped him. I didn't say anything. That was the thing. I didn't say no because I was shocked. He just started trying to do stuff, you know, and I'm like, and so I physically had to block him, but he had hold of my arm, and he grabbed hold of this arm and forced it on his penis, and I was trying to stop him having sex with me with my one free arm and hand, and that's why it was really traumatic experience. But I'm truly sorry to hear you went through that horrific experience. My deepest condolences. Thank you. You speak quite adult for your age as well, I noticed. So I didn't know you were 19. I think a lot of younger guys can, though, you know, speak adult, you know, and really, really intelligent. But thank you. So yeah, that's when you said, I thought, if you read my book already, because that's why I definitely agree with you. It should be 18, because like he was 18 and I was 15. And literally, he had hold of my hand. I can talk about it now, but I couldn't talk about it for years. I felt so guilty for like majority of my life. I think it's only since finding out I'm asexual, I think I came out about this. You know, I mean, to the world, really. I started talking about it on my channel. Like, you know, it's just horrible. It was a horrible experience, but I just put it down to a horrible experience. I didn't put it down to attempted rape, which I was since told by a counsellor that it was. You know, so I just put it down to a horrible incident in my life, you know. he beforehand I was his girlfriend, and beforehand he opened this drawer, his bedside table drawer, and he had a condom in there. And I was that naive back then, because I had never had I had boyfriends before, but I'd never had one that was older than me. And he used to go to nightclubs, he told me, and stuff, and I didn't think anything of it. And I never had one that even suggested what did I? There was actually a guy that said about sex to me, but I think I was I was older at that then. I was later. But I didn't know when he showed me a condom in his drawer. I never associated it with me, because I was asexual looking back and I didn't know it. I never thought that he was going to want to use it on me, but he didn't. He never attempted to use it on me. He literally attempted to try and have sex with me by taking my underwear down. That's what he's trying to do. And so he grabbed hold of this hand and he put it on his penis. And I feel most men sadly expect sex, if not on a first date, when within 3 or 4, sadly, from what I've been told, it's a socially accepted thing. I know, it's disgusting. I mean, this guy, he grabbed hold of my hand and put it on his penis. I couldn't, he was literally physically pinning my hand down on his penis, and I hate it. And that's probably, I really don't like the male anatomy as it is, especially after that, as you know. But I have had sex after that, so it didn't actually stop me having sex. I am an asexual that's had sex before. So, when people say, oh, you've had sexual abuse, that's why you're asexual, it's like, no, I'm not. I've actually had sexual abuse more than once. I've had it twice, and neither time stopped me having sex in the future. So it's not that, if I really wanted sex, I could have sex. Although I have fibromyalgia now, so it's more harder down there. Shouldn't really be doing it because it hurts, but that's just like, if I really, really wanted it to, I could ride on the tip of a guy, for example, be on top of him and ride on his tip. Probably in my past sexual experience, I could probably get away with doing that occasionally if I really wanted sex, but I don't want it. That's the whole point, But it was a horrible experience. I mean, I don't even think I've shared all the details of when I was 15. I don't think I've said all this in my book. I've just told you on this channel, but, he grabbed hold of my hand. I couldn't do anything. I only had one arm to literally physically block him. Sex should come with trust if a person is so inclined. I think sex would be displayed as the ultimate form of trust. Yeah. But I don't think you have to have sex to prove you trust someone either. I mean, there was, on the channel last night, I read, because this book goes into all different, topics about sex, sexual attraction, what asexual thinks are the difference between sexual attraction, sexual desire, sexual arousal, sexual attraction, what asexuals really think of masturbation, kinks, BDSM, and all that lot, and one of the people who commented on my BDSM, like, this talks about, asks other people about BDSM. I personally am not into it. I want to run a mile. I hate it. But, not everyone's the same as me, so I respect them. And so this person saw my video from Asexual Perspectives Awareness Month 2 years ago in 2017. And they were on about, BDSM is to do with trust, and I think there's far better ways of gaining trust with your partner and having trust than doing stuff like that and saying I'm, and submitting to someone and saying control me. I would never want to be controlled. I've had control in abuse like that, as I've just told you, the sexual abuse and other forms of control in abusive relationships. There's no way I want to be having any person controlling me, pinning me down, abusing me. I see BDSM personally for me as abuse. I think it's very controlling and manipulative. I just watched your BDSM video from last night. I love it and found it so informative. Oh, thank you, Cameron. I'm glad you enjoyed that video. Well, enjoyed, the watching it and found it informative, It's really important, that, it's important that I say that obviously some people do like it, but I don't. I can't stand it. If a guy even suggests that to me, I mean, I'm fortunate that none of my exes have ever suggested anything to do with BDSM. I've never had anything suggested to do with BDSM, to do with kinks from any of my exes or anyone I've dated. Nothing. It's like it's out of their vocabulary, like it's out of mine. The only reason I talk about it is because I help asexuals now, and I have to try and have a basic understanding about some of it, a little bit of it. But the only reason I really looked into it is because, like I said, there was 2 asexual guys that were interested in having a dominatrix. I'm like, okay, if I wanted to be a dominatrix, what would I have to do? Because even the thought of it freaks me out. But I'll read up about it just to see if it's possible, if I could do it. And I was like, I mean, I'm not, in terms of the fact I'm not submissive, and I'm more of a dominant character than a submissive character, yeah, but I don't want to control a guy and tell him, like, treat him like a slave. I don't think that's a loving, healthy, trusting, committed relationship. I just think that's inequality and a power trip. I don't think anyone should be overpowering anyone else, even if it's consensual. I personally, if a guy consented to it, I would still feel bad that I was doing it. I feel it's something I shouldn't be doing as a human being who's got ethics, morals, cares about people, cares about my guy. I feel like the world would view an aromantic asexual rude, repelled person as odd. Oh, nude repulsed person. I feel like the world would view an aromantic asexual nude repulsed person as odd, and I feel that's something that will take years to socially change. Are you an aromantic asexual then? I'm a romantic asexual person. Are you aromantic asexual or are you a romantic asexual? Oh, you're aromantic asexual. So you're not interested in romantic relationships then, even, I'm guessing. But yeah. Yeah, I'm not opposite. I'm a hyper romantic. You're aromantic, yeah. I'm a hyper romantic. Like, I have met you're personally aromantic, yeah. Yeah. I have met this nice person that I started talking to, and they identify as demi-romantic, and they subscribe to his channel actually, so they might end up seeing this. And they're so demi-romantic is someone on the aromantic spectrum, but with a demi-romantic, they can feel romantic attraction when a deep emotional bond has been formed with someone. That can sometimes only be a handful of people in their lifetime, so it's quite rare for them to be able to experience romantic attraction, but then they can, so that is still on the aromantic spectrum. But I seem to get on really well with them so far. I've only just started talking to them. I'm going to Skype date them on Tuesday, and so that's going to be really good. I hope your date goes well on Tuesday. Thank you. Yeah, they are actually foreign, British born, so I'm hopeful, but I don't want to get my hopes up. It's like they are, I am a hyper romantic, I'm super romantic, so they are on the aromantic spectrum. I've only just started talking to them, so we don't really know each other yet, but so far the guy seems a really honest person, which I really like. Easy to talk to, has a nice looking face, dedicated to his work, seems a caring person. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it, because at least I'll get to speak to a nice person on Tuesday, if nothing else. But they are in this country as well, which is really nice. But it's early days, really early days. I've only just literally started talking to them in the last few days. But I like, I do like Skype dating. I don't know what they think of nudity. I haven't actually asked them that yet. That was a question that popped in my mind. I need to ask them on Tuesday, what do they think of nudity? I can't stand it, but I know most asexuals are not like me, but I don't mind the guys. When are you hoping to have your next book out? Oh, the Asexual Sex Stories. Thanks for asking about that. Well, I haven't. I mean, the last one, this one took me a year to write. It's a really lot. It's like a 450-page book, but it's good because all the individual stories have got their own chapters, so it makes it easier to read. Because I personally love writing, but don't like reading very much, and so to look at a big book like this, it would usually be really daunting for me. So because I've made it easier for everyone, including people like me, to read it, because every person's got their own story on a separate chapter. So you can just read one chapter a night if you want, and that's what makes it really easy to read, because it's really short. If each story interview questionnaire is really short. To answer your question about when I hope to have my book out, I don't know at the moment. Obviously within the year, because I only started writing it last month, and I'm at the moment, I still need more asexual sex stories for it. Really, I've got about 14, I think, I've got at the moment, and I'm working on 5 simultaneously edits now. Is there a Kindle version of Current Book? Yes, there is a Kindle version. It's on Amazon. The link should be down below in my description, below this video, below my live stream. I've got a link to it on Amazon Kindle. So the printed book you can get on Amazon, or you can order from a bookshop, because it's under my own imprint, Quirky Books. It's under my own publishing company. But yeah, there's a Kindle version. You can go and get it straight away on Kindle. Even if you haven't got a Kindle yourself, you can download the Kindle app, because I don't have a Kindle, but I've got the Kindle app on my Apple Mac desktop, which you're currently I'm talking to you through, and so you can literally get the app on any device. I'll get it in a minute. I personally like a digital book better. Oh, that's really good. You like a digital book better. Oh, thank you for getting it in advance. You're finding it really informative. I mean, like, just me interviewing people for it, I learned so much about the asexual spectrum, because the good thing about this book is it's basically it doesn't give textbook definitions of asexuality. It shows what it's like to be asexual through the words of the people in it. And so you can just see the variations. There's not, I mean, not obviously not every single asexual variation is in the book. I mean, that would just be like, the book would be going on forever and a day because there's new terms coming out all the time. But it does give you great insight into the variety across the asexual spectrum. There's someone in the book that's been with an asexual in a relationship for over 4 years. There's another person who's with someone who's not asexual. They're with a bisexual person. They said that not having sex didn't matter to the bisexual person. So it's really informative, and they got loads of advice and stuff about what they give to a younger version of themselves, or what they give to someone who's just discovering they're asexual. It is, I know I wrote it, but I have to say it's really good, because it's not just me that's saying that. It's because it's, I've interviewed 46 asexuals, and I've got my own personal story in it, and you get to interview me at the back. That's how it works. And each person has contributed well. They've answered pretty much every question that I used to get asked in private message about being asexual, because I just used to get so many questions, the same questions coming through constantly. And it's good that this book is not just my opinion. It's you'll have to let me know, Cameron, what you think of it. You really will. So my asexual sex stories book at the moment, it's definitely not going to be out for several months yet, because I've literally I've got 2 asexual stories that I'm working on in edits. I've been working with those people who I interviewed with edits backwards and forwards for over a week now. And so there's a lot of people don't realize, because they, there's a couple of people that have seen this book and they're like, oh, well, that must have been so easy to write, because you're just asking people questions. But it's not. These questions are very strategic, what I put in these books, to make sure that they answer all the asexuals pending questions in their mind. They're not just any questions that I've plucked out of thin air. They're ones that I've been consistently asked constantly by asexuals over and over again, to get the exact answers they want without telling people. I don't tell people what to write. They write their answers, but by putting the questions a certain way, I get the answer they want. But I mean, there's someone in this book, they've been through a really traumatic experience. There's, and that person who's in the book, I mean, you don't know this because you wouldn't know this from the book, but I think they're dyslexic, because it's very, the words were muddled up a lot, and it was very hard to read, so I had to do editing with them backwards and forwards. And I was dealing with very sensitive topic issues. When someone's been through trauma and you have to get them to expand on what they mean for the readers that are reading a book, it's very difficult. It's a skill to do that. You have to be as tactful as possible whilst getting the facts, because you don't want to represent what happened to them in the wrong way. You want to represent it factually, but get to those facts and expand on them so that the reader can understand. And at the moment, the Asexual Sex Stories book, there's more intimate details than ever before, more than this book. And it is a really good book, even if you never want sex in your life, because it does show how asexuals feel and think about sex. It gets into their minds of how we're different to sexuals. So it really shows deep in their thoughts and how they experience sex. It's a very, very good book. Hi, Daria. Nice to see you. I haven't seen you for a while. Yeah, it's lovely to see you. I'm talking about Cameron wanted to know when my Asexual Sex Stories book out, and I said not for a while because I'm still editing at the moment. So at the moment I'm working edits backwards and forwards with 2 asexual interviewees. That's a lot of editing we've been doing for over a week. I've had to have a break from it like over the weekend because I've got another project that I've got to do for another business, and it's supposed to be finished by Tuesday, but then I had so many technical problems trying to sort. I'm doing an online course for not for asexuals this time, but for entrepreneur people who want to make money online. Actually, that's what it's geared towards, and that went quite wrong. Everything kept going wrong. I'm like, what the heck? Bring it on. I like a challenge, I like to stay positive. So I had to tell the people that I'm interviewing that I've got to do theirs at the weekend. So literally, I mean, we're now through to Saturday. Today and tomorrow, Sunday, this weekend, in the daytime, I'm going to be working on 5 stories. The 2 that I'm already talking to them about in edits, backwards and forwards. I mean, one of them, you know, he's been through some trauma, you know, and so I'm having to be very, you know, we're having to work together to bring out what he wants in the book and express it in a way that the reader will understand, but that's, you know, sensitive still to him having the trauma. And what's really refreshing about the Asexual Sex Stories book is there are guys who've experienced sexual abuse that are sharing their personal stories in the book. And I just think that's so refreshing, because obviously in society it's always like usually that guys abuse women sexually, which still happens more than, statistically as far as I know, it still happens more that women get more sexually abused than men in general. But most guys who've had sexual abuse will not come out and talk about it. You know, a lot of the time they still keep it bottled up unless they go for therapy. And in my Asexual Sex Stories book, you know, I can't give all the stories away, but there's at least one guy in it that has had sexual abuse. And so, you know, I'm dealing with quite traumatic pasts with them and trying to get their words out on paper with them so that people understand what led up to that, or what surrounds that, what's gone on, what the actual narrative is. And that is really difficult. And this book is more harder to edit in that way. There's a lot more detail involved. Say for example, you're in a relationship, would you sleep in separate beds? Just curious if you don't mind answering. Well, with me, Cameron, personally, I prefer to live separately to the guy, because I can't sleep next to someone usually in the same bed. It's not very easy for me. Like, I personally am up to 3 or 4 in the morning usually, on my computer, listening to music or doing website work or blogging or doing designing a t-shirt. I don't sleep much, so the earliest I usually go to sleep is 2 a.m. But I live in a studio flat, right? I'm not allowed to have any guy living with me here. It is literally a single person unit. The most I can have, the landlord told me, if I've got a boyfriend, which I had in the past, is like he can stay over weekends. The maximum he can stay over usually is 2 to 3 nights. That's it. So I can't have him living here with me anyway. I specifically love the flat I live in. So my ideal scenario would be the guy would move to live near, you know, get a job in my city and move to live near me, round the corner from me, ideally, so that we could see each other whenever we wanted to. Like, I can't see a guy every single day because I've got a lot of work to do. I'm literally a workaholic, really, but my work is my personality, is intertwined with me. So I don't really separate it, you know what I mean? So if I feel the same way, sleep is the enemy of productivity. I love my bed, just did myself, no one else. Yeah, I mean, I've got double bed all to myself. I don't know if you notice this. I've got this double bed and it's all to myself. It's got a nice Disney throw. So I am a really young girl, you know, like I call myself an asexual cougar, I'll be honest with you, and you'll find this out in my book anyway, because I like younger guys, but I don't want sex with them. I only like to really kiss passionately, tongue kissing, and cuddle with them. And I like a lot of things young guys like I like going to theme parks, zoos, aquariums. I do like dancing, so I like going to clubs occasionally. You know, I love theme parks, are one of my favorite things to do. So it's like, do you know what I mean? I'm quite lucky because this guy I met, I've got the Skype date with on Tuesday, he likes theme parks. I'm like, you like theme parks? Oh my god. I like superhero movies and stuff like that. So yeah, but it's very unusual for a romantic asexual, a heteromantic like me, to not want to live with someone. Like an aromantic asexual, which I know you said you are, Cameron, an aromantic asexual usually doesn't want to live with a person, or they can, some of them, but there's more aromantic asexuals that don't want to live with their partner. They want to live either in a separate house or separate beds or separate, you know, like separate flats or whatever, than a romantic. Traditionally and conventionally, even within asexual community, as far as I'm aware, the people I've spoke to, they all seem to want to live together. And I find that really difficult. I mean, I've got one friend who's pan romantic and he doesn't want to live with someone either. He prefer to live separately, but me and him are only suitable to be together as friends. No, we've discussed other, you know, like if we could be anything more than friends, and we can't, because, you know, it's just not, we're not suitable. He's older than I'd usually go for anyway, and, you know, it's not suitable. We're not suitable to be in a relationship together. So but we're really good friends, you know. But he doesn't want to live, he doesn't want kids like I don't, he doesn't need marriage like I don't, and he doesn't need to live with someone, you know, and he lives not too far away from me, but we're not suitable to be anything but friends. So Yeah, I love like sleep is the enemy of productivity. Yeah, a lot of the time I agree, and I'm up till like the early hours, and I find it difficult because if a guy comes over here and he's my boyfriend, he expects me to sit next to him, lie next to him, go to sleep, and I can't do that. I have problems sleeping in front of people. I just enjoy the independence of living with my own space and answering to myself. Yes, I do like that as well. I mean, I don't mind being in a relationship and keeping in contact and lots of communication and chatting and all that lot, because I am a romantic asexual, so I do like a lot of contact, like I like a lot of messaging from a guy who's romantically interested in me. Like if I had a boyfriend, I'd want him to be messaging me in the morning, usually messaging me in the evening, telling me how his day goes. So we're like, I don't need to live with him. I can see him like a couple of times a week maximum at the moment, because I've got a lot of stuff I need to. I'd rather have quality time with him than quantity, but I like him sharing his life every day with me. If I'm honest, that's what I like. I like him sharing his life because I want a best friend, soulmate, love of my life all wrapped into one. And I want me and him to be really best friends and soulmates and tell each other all our secrets and share our life with each other, even if we're not physically living together. I want to feel like we're in each other's lives every day, and that we are part of each other even when we're apart, if that makes sense. I like that because I'm a really romantic person, and that's what I feel a soulmate and best friend would be doing. We'd be like, loving to do that, not forced. I want someone who really loves my personality, who really wants to be doing that with me all the time. I don't want to be with a guy who's like, oh well, she's messaged me again, oh yeah, better message her back. I want a guy who's like, yeah, oh yeah, this is what I'm doing with my day, hope your day's going well, what do you think of this? I'm going to watch this TV program now, catch you later. I'm going to go and see this movie now, catch you later. Like, how's your job going, how's your life going, how's your career going, like how's your like, I want someone to support me in the asexual stuff I do. I want someone to ask about my writing. I want someone to like, I mean, there is a guy I'm talking to on ace-book.net dating site, but he's older than I would usually go for, and aesthetically he's not my type, but he's really nice to talk to, and he's really supportive. He's messaging me quite long emails, and he's asking me questions about myself, about my life, about what I like, about how my weekend's gone. So not just like, I hope you had a good weekend. It's like, oh, how did you get on at the weekend, with your filming that you need to do? I hope it went well. And I'm like, well, no, it actually didn't go according to plan, but I'm still happy and positive about it, And he's asking me questions about myself. I liked being asked questions about myself from a guy, because it means that they're really interested in me as a person. They're not just making small talk. Do you know what I mean? When I mean small talk, is they're not just answering my questions for the sake of answering it, but not taking an interest. I like a guy who's strong and who will actually pursue me, even though he's asexual. And that's really difficult to get. I like being pursued by a guy. I like a strong guy who's wanting to talk to me daily, who's wanting to share his life with me, who's wanting to be in my world. And that's very difficult to get an asexual like that, in my experience. I mean, I've been on asexual dating sites now since 2014. We're now in 2019. And the majority of asexuals, particularly, I'm particularly interested in guys, so that's my experience, they're not forthcoming. They don't pursue. The only ones that pursue are the ones that usually not really asexual, and they end up being sexual and on an asexual dating site. Or they're on the really much, 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 much more end of the asexual the sexual end of the asexual spectrum. And it's, and even within the asexual community, that reflects back to me that unless sex is involved in a relationship, there doesn't seem to be the need to make the effort and pursue the person if sex is not involved. And I think that's very, very sad. That's very sad to me. I want an asexual guy who will pursue me without the sex. I'll think, God, I really love her personality. I can't get enough of her personality. I want to speak to Sandra. My eyes light up when I speak to her. I smile when I speak to her. She's enthusiastic about life. She loves life. She's energetic. She's bubbly. I love that. And they get a dopamine hit and want to speak to me because of my personality. That's what I really want. And for them to pursue me because of my personality, because I add some valuable energy into their life, some superpower, some happiness, some deep committed soulmate friendship that they haven't experienced before. Do you know what I mean? That's what I want. I want them to pursue me for my personality. I want them to like my looks. I like to be told, if a guy is interested in a relationship with me, that you're pretty, that I like your looks, that you're attractive. I like him to tell me that regularly. I think it's nice. I like myself to say that to him as well. I think it's good for morale. I think it's good for attraction. You can, without the sexual attraction, you can flirt asexually. You can create great romantic attraction chemistry. You can create great aesthetic attraction chemistry, great emotional attraction chemistry. You know, so I can have, like, I've had even in the past great emotional connection with a guy, for example, and I've had deep romantic, really powerful romantic attraction. I was shocked because I never experienced romantic attraction on that level before. Like, it was really powerful. Like, whenever me and him used to see each other, it was like so powerful. It's like a volcano erupting. It's that obvious. And I've never had that before. And when I was in the heterosexual relationships in the past, I never obviously separated romance from sexual attraction back then. It was all part of the bundle. I thought I was heterosexual. I didn't realize it was arousal I felt, not sexual attraction. I put romance and everything into the same bundle, which I think the majority of society does. And so I never separated romantic attraction. But now, you know, I had this experience of this asexual person I know. They know me, and we were both romantically attracted to each other, like magnetic, like a volcano erupting. That feeling, you know. It couldn't lead to a relationship because we weren't suitable to a relationship, which was a bit hard for me because I'd never experienced the power of that before. And I had a very deep emotional connection with that person, and a deep soul friendship, and we used to share all our secrets together and stuff like that. And that's the type of relationship I've always wanted. Good night, Sandra. I have to go. I'll join again tomorrow. That's okay, Cameron. Nice to see you. Yeah, I've been like, streaming for an hour and a half now. Yes, it's nice to see you. So yeah, thanks for joining. It's been a great time talking to you. I'm probably going to wrap up soon anyway. Thank you so much. Love to you. Thank you so much. Have an amazing day yourself. Have an amazing day, and I hope you enjoy my book. Let me know what you think of it. So yeah, I suppose I better wrap up now anyway, because I've been on here for an hour and a half, but I just want to leave you with the fact that you know that just because you're asexual doesn't mean to say you can't pursue someone, and you know, and pursue that person because of their personality, because I think that's what should be going on in the asexual community, you know. Anyway, Daria, it's lovely to see you. Thank you so much for coming on the stream as well. Thank you to Cameron. Anyone else who's watching, please subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that great big bell icon to get notified of every time I go live right now or post a new video. I just want to say, please be proud of your asexuality. Don't be scared of it. Don't hide from it. It's who you are, and you are beautiful because of it. And you are more rare and special because of it, because you are 1% of the population. You're different to 99% of the population, and that is a beautiful thing. Embrace your difference as your beauty. Your difference is your beauty. The fact you're asexual is like a superpower, because you're able to see the world in a completely different way to how everyone else sees it. And so that's what I want you to do. Embrace your asexuality as your superpower, as your super strength, as your amazing insight into this world in a completely different way. I really want that for you. I want every asexual to embrace their asexuality and to just feel so powerful because of it. Feel so strong that, you know, that I'm this person, I'm 1% of the population. This is a gift. This is a gift from the universe, the planet, the world, God, whatever you believe in or don't believe in. You know, this is a gift. Your asexuality is a gift. I want you to be gifted with it. I want you to feel like this thing has been given to you, and it makes you different. And it's great because you can see the world in a completely different way to however other people see it, you know? And it's a blessing that you have the ability to do that, you know? Thank you, Daria. Take care. Lots of love. I love you. Take care. And your book will be incredible. Thank you, Daria. Yeah, my Asexual Sex Stories book. It will be incredible. I totally agree with you. It should be without, well, it should be, if I publish it, it'll be within the year it'll be come out, but I've got publisher interest in it still at the moment. So yeah, you know, so it depends whether I get out or they do, because they take longer to get books out sometimes than I do. At least 8 months they do after I finish writing it. Whereas after I finish writing, I can get it out within, you know, like 4 weeks or whatever, quickly. So yeah, but it will be really incredible. Thank you so much for your support, Daria. Thank you, and take care. Embrace your quirky and each other's. Good night, Daria. Bye, Cameron. Take care. Give this video a thumbs up if you like it, everyone. Thanks for everyone who's given me a thumbs up so far. Night. Love you. Bye.